Good morning and welcome back. This is World Talks coming to you live from Warsaw. I'm Jastrzębska. Just when hopes were rising for a diplomatic breakthrough, the latest round of U.S. Iran talks, scheduled to take place in Switzerland on Friday, was abruptly called off. The cancellation came as fighting between Israel and Hezbollah reignited in Lebanon, despite reports that a ceasefire was expected to take hold. The two sides have since agreed to halt hostilities, but it's still unclear when the U.S.-Iran peace talks will go ahead. To discuss these latest developments, I'm joined by Marcin Krzyżanowski, Middle East expert, Jagiellonian University. Good morning, sir. Delighted to have you with us.
Good morning, and thank you for the invitation.
So let's start with Lebanon and Israel. Despite the U.S.-Iran memorandum of understanding, Israel launched attacks on Lebanon on Friday, killing 47 people, according to a Lebanese health ministry. Of course, Israel says it was in retaliation for the killing of 4 Israeli soldiers. Now, those strikes have since stopped, and the IDF said on Friday afternoon that it is observing a ceasefire. But how long can that last?
No one knows. That ceasefire is extremely fragile, and the fighting can be start again anytime. From the Israeli perspective, ceasefire before defeating Hamas, or even before winning current battle against Hamas is crucial. And the ceasefire and memorandum between the United States and Iran is not seen as favorable in Tel Aviv.
So the Trump administration has announced a new round of talks between Israel and Lebanese officials due to take place in D.C. on June 23rd and 25th. So the aim, according to the U.S. State Department, is to make progress towards a lasting peace. But of course, Hezbollah is refusing to participate. So can any agreement reached between Lebanon and Israel be implemented in practice if, of course, Hezbollah is not taking part?
At the moment, no. Without Hezbollah, no serious peace initiative, peace talks, or even a ceasefire can be perceived as possible to implement. Hezbollah is the key player in Lebanese policy making, and without consent of Hezbollah, no peace agreement is possible.
So Israel's campaign against Hezbollah is clearly at odds with what Donald Trump wants. On top of that, some Israeli cabinet ministers have been openly criticizing Trump and his administration, prompting a pushback from J.D. Vance. And let me just read a soundbite from J.D. Vance to you. So Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. So to me, it sounds like a warning. How do you see the relationship between the two countries evolving from here?
Definitely, it was a warning, a start one. At the moment, the relations between Israel and the United States administration are tense. Of course, the allies between the United States and Israel will remain in place. The ties between those two countries are too deep to sever them easily. But the rift is the rift between Washington and Tel Aviv over the Iranian issue is a fact after a few years of almost perfect cooperation between both countries. The conflict of interest emerged from the Washington perspective. Ceasefire and a peace deal with Iran is something really desirable. From the perspective of Israel is otherwise. The war with Iran from Israeli perspective, is far from being over. The Iranian threat was not eliminated, and the red lines were crossed. So Iran will be more aggressive, more assertive in the near future dealing with Israel, which pose a serious security threat to that country.
So let's zoom in on what's happening inside Israel, because elections are coming up in the fall. How likely is Benjamin Netanyahu to remain in power?
There is a huge chance that he will be replaced. Current polls estimate his support in Israeli society is around 50%. So every scenario is possible. There is a possible scenario that Prime Minister Netanyahu will remain in place. But anyway, the Israeli policy will not change too much, regardless of the election results. As also the opposition leaders are eager to continue conflict, even war, with Iran.
What about the domestic pressure on Donald Trump? Because the word blunder has been used quite frequently across various media outlets to describe Trump's decision to launch the attacks on Iran. So how much political pressure is he facing at home?
A huge one, a really huge one. Until now, we in the world economy avoided the crisis as the reserves of oil were released. But we're getting closer and closer to the point of no return. The increasing oil prices and damage in the infrastructure of United States allies in the Gulf made President Trump very prone to political pressure. There is also an ongoing internal conflict within the Republican Party over that issue. So at the moment, President Trump is between hammer and a hard place.
So paradoxically, do you think that this conflict has actually emboldened Iran? I mean, the attack they had feared finally happened, yet the regime survived. So could that strengthen Tehran's resolve rather than weaken it?
Definitely, yes. Internally, it was entrenched. And from Tehran's perspective, the worst scenario just happened. And the United States and Israel altogether hit Iran with huge force. But it wasn't enough to shake the core of the Islamic Republic. So if the worst scenario happened, now Tehran is not feared the United States attack anymore, and as such, it will be it will pose more aggressive stance toward Israel and, of course, the United States' interest in the region in the near future.
Now, the U.S. Iran Memorandum of Understanding stipulates that both sides have 60 days to reach an agreement, although that deadline can be extended by mutual consent. So given the number of contentious issues still on the table, do you think these negotiations could take much longer? I mean, in other words, are we looking at a prolonged negotiating process, or is there a risk that fighting could resume before a final agreement is reached?
The scenario of resuming of the fighting is also on the table, but most probably we will face a really long, really hard roller coaster of negotiations, which will be extended beyond that 60-day period.
What about the Gulf states? I mean, alongside Pakistan, Qatar played a key role in brokering this Iran-US deal. So how has this conflict influenced the relationship between the Gulf states and Iran?
First of all, there is of course a huge rift. There is a huge conflict of interest between Gulf states, United States allies, and United States enemy, as which Iran definitely is. Although huge obstacles, the Gulf countries were able to deal with Islamic Republic of Iran and avoid deepening of the conflict. The war will change a little bit the security equation in the region. From the perspective of Gulf countries, that war between United States and Iran was a huge mistake and blow to their interest. The infrastructure suffered due to Iranian attacks, and then their economies also suffered due to Iranian blockade of Hormuz Strait. Iran showed that is a relentless and a very dangerous political and military player, and the Arab countries will be forced to deal with Iranian threat in the future without the assistance of the United States.
And Marcin, looking at this whole situation more holistically, how much has Trump's decision to abandon the JCPOA, the agreement from 2015 under Obama, contributed to the current situation? And where does Iran's nuclear program stand today?
The decision to step away from JCPOA was a cornerstone of this conflict. Without leaving JCPOA, we could avoid this whole military and political mess in the Gulf. President Trump wanted to force Iran into a better deal, but unfortunately for the United States policy, was unable to. Iran was able to withstand the United States and Israeli pressure, and was able to gain huge concessions from United States side, guaranteed by the memorandum of understanding signed in Tehran and Paris in Versailles.
Marcin Krzyżanowski, Middle East expert, Jagiellonian University. Thank you so very much for joining us this morning. Much appreciated.
Thank you very much and have a nice day.
And thank you for watching World Talks. Please stay tuned for more here on TV.